Hi there, and welcome back to the CKM Red Rugby League channel. We hope you are all well. It's Tuesday, and that can only mean that one guy in the UK and one guy in Australia are going to have a ham-fisted attempt at taking you through the team list, giving out some awful tips, and then coming back in a week's time and pretending like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, I think. I'm going pretty well, mate. I'm 4-3 up now. I am pumped. I'm loving life at the moment. How are you?
I'm good until you mentioned 4-3, and now I'm annoyed again. But, the Eels needed all the help that they could get against the Warriors to break my back this week. So
turn it up. Turn it up.
If I tell you what, if you do want to hear more about that one and our thoughts on it, we did drop last week in Rugby League yesterday, so go check that out. But watch this one first. Definitely watch this one first, and then go back to that one. Okay.
Spoiler alert, as a Parramatta fan, I actually say something that most fans might agree with.
There is that. Anyway, this is going on too long now, so we're going to talk about our sponsor, RCR Products. The code's going across the bottom. You know the drill. Go to their website. Get all your nutritional gear. Use code CKM, get 20% off. With that, then, we are going to get into the first game. It is the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the West Tigers. The Tigers, narrowly avoiding defeat last week, fought back. They surprisingly are unchanged this week, which does include Josh Reynolds and Russell Packer in the reserves, which, again, want to hear our thoughts. Go to last week in Rugby League, but comes as a big shock to me after their halftime walkout due to coldness. Over to Souths, they've made a little bit of a positional change. So Gagai comes back. He's now onto the wing. Johnston goes to the wing from fullback, with Allen going to the fullback spot. Knight in for Totola, and Jed Cartwright comes in on the bench. Those are the only changes for South Sydney. How do you envision this one going?
I'm going to preface this one by saying that I do not expect Dane Gagai to play. The last 3 weeks he's been named in the starting lineup and has pulled out. Stephen Masters has come in and performed superbly. I definitely think that he's deserved his spot there. And I think Gagai plays better on the wing than he does in the centres. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Jackson Paulo coming in the number 18 on game day. We'll see how that one plays out. Potentially, not as much defensive work for Gagai needed being out on the wing. That might help. Also interesting to see Jed Cartwright there. Was meant to be there next year. Got released halfway through because of the Bunnies' shocking injuries. 5 or 6 weeks back now. Good to see him get a run. Only had 2 runs in about 3 years for the Panthers. Kind of surprised that it's at the expense of Totola. I don't know if that's an injury or a drop, but we'll see. We'll see. I've got the Bunnies in this one. Bunnies all the way. Tigers don't fill me with any confidence. Obviously, they came out firing the second half last week to chase down Manly, but it was not. Doesn't fill me with any confidence. David Nofoaluma is not going to score 3 tries every week. You're not going to have Adam Dewey playing lights out in the centre every week. Mbai's had his one good game for the month. He's not going to play like that again this week, I don't think. And the Bunnies are inside the 8. They do have a little bit of a point to prove. They've got a pretty tough run coming up. This is probably the easiest one that they've got. And I don't really see this one going any other way. That being said, you look at someone like Benji, who's kind of been thrown out to the Wolves here in the last 7 days. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes out and just has an absolute belter. So I won't delve into my tips. I'll let you go first on that one this week. But I reckon Benji's going to have a ripper, but the Bunnies are going to get up.
Yeah, so I'm kind of on the same line of thinking. I think that the Tigers do slightly concern me with the amount of players that they've got who are basically playing with a point to prove. Liddell coming off the bench, he wants to be the Tigers' long-term 9. He's probably going to come in, inject himself, do really well. Dewey, in the centre, played incredible last week. So and Mbai, like you said, played well at fullback, but is fullback going to be his long-term position, especially when you've brought Dewey in under the premise of you're going to be our fullback and you're going to be part of our key team members and you're going to be part of that spine. So I think that Souths run this one. I do expect it to be a tight game. The last two, not many points in them. I think there's been less than 30 points, maybe less than 32 in the last two off the top. But I'm going to say that Souths take the under on this one as well. And Souths to score first. They've scored first in the last three. So I'm going to say South Sydney score first. Take the under. What is the under at? Just out of curiosity, now that I've already committed to it.
According to our friends here at Sportsbet, 42.5.
Dog, back that under. Slap that under around all you like. That's coming in. Alongside that, South Sydney to score first as well. The Tigers, I think they've only scored first in their in one of their last three, whereas Souths, even against teams like Melbourne, Parramatta, being off the mat, they tend to start quickly. So I'm going with that one as well, and Souths on the line.
Souths on the line. Okay.
Yes.
Good thing I caught that one. So the line currently at 7.5. This is also at nearly 7 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. We've got the dual laptop set up so I can keep track of these tips, ladies and gentlemen. Souths at 7.5, first to score under 525. If you want to go the second game multi, or if that's an option for you. So, I mean, it's not the worst value, but it could be better. Don't mind the screen adjust. Agree with you on the bunnies. I'm not going to touch over or under. I'm not going to touch that line. It's just close enough to potentially see it going any other way. I do think Cody Walker scores. I don't have an issue with putting 10 or 20 if you're going on a single with him as an anytime try scorer, paying 263, due for a try. I think it'll be a sweeping play around the back. He'll have the option of Allen or going himself. I think they're going to target Brooks if the numbers line up, and that's the way that they're going to defend. I see Walker going through. I said Nofo won't score a hat-trick every week, but I do think he's on for a try this week. Gagai, in Origin, superb winger defensively. Questioning his defense at the moment, coming in off a 4-week break with some hamstring issues. If he doesn't play and Jackson Paulo does, Paulo has a tendency to run in and try and jam that centre. It means that Nofo's going to have a free run to the try line. Bunnies, Walker, and Nofo. Nofo paying $1.80 on the anytime. I will very quickly throw that into the trusty same game multi. I would imagine it'd be something around $7 or $8. I'm not, that's just off the top of my head. $5 on the bunnies. $6.50. Okay, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, even at $6.50, it's not the worst. Definitely recommend slapping a tenner or something on Walker just for an anytime try scorer though.
Okay then. I think that'll do it for that one then. We will get on to the next one. The next game is the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the Manly Seagulls. The Bulldogs, they've gone for an absolute massive changes. It is incredible to see. The most notable, there's two pretty notable changes. The first one is the return of Jaden Ockenbaugh back from suspension. He's going to take up his spot on the wing. He has got a lot to prove of himself. The second change, Jake Averillo in the shirt. Obviously, Kieran Foran's season is done with that pectoral tear, requiring surgery. He's going to be out until around December time, which means that his time as a Bulldog is as good as done, unless, I don't know, he's prepared to work for chips or something. It's just the Bulldogs are not going to come in with a decent contract offer. I can't see many people will. Again, some of the changes for the Bulldogs, Wateni Zelezniak goes into centre, Remus Smith back into the centre, Tolman in a prop, Thompson gets his 13 shirt back, Wakeham in the 14, Sue in the 17. The Bulldogs I think they're just kind of wanting to see this season out at this point. I know that they're still trying to avoid the spoon, but it seems like a bridge too far. It really does now. The Sea Eagles obviously going to be disappointed with last week's result. They went up and then just switched off completely. I mean, do you see them getting back even on this one?
I do, and I'm taking them on the line as well. The line currently at 6.5 for a same game multi, 6 if you're going on the singles. I think Manly come back with a vengeance here. There is no reason as to why I don't think they get up over this dog side. Schuster, who I thought played superbly in his debut game, is gone for the year with a syndesmosis injury. So that brings Cade Cast back in. Interestingly, Avis Miski comes into the wing. Now, obviously, we saw last week that he was named and then got taken out for, who was it? Harper.
Yeah, Morgan Harper, who's now in the centre.
Right, and probably should stay there. Had a superb first game coming up against his former club, young Morgan. The interesting one for me, and it's not going to come across the scroll because the platform that we use doesn't have enough characters for it. Ben Trebojevic in the 21. That's an interesting one for me. I'm very curious. He is an outside back, mainly a fullback, but has the capability to play wing. Do we see Ben Trebojevic make his debut at the expense of Miski? So that's one to keep an eye on. In terms of my suggested tips, I've gone through, I've had a look. You make a great point about Ockenball coming back. I think his score's coming back. He has a lot of time to make up for. I'm sorry, you can pester me and hate me later. I think his score's coming back. He's missed out on this season. I can understand maybe the suspension based on them coming back, but the NRL has said, nah, you screwed up. Honour the contract. He's got a point to prove because I don't see him staying there for the rest of, staying there past this year. He'll score on debut. He'll score on his first game back. And I'm going the over as well. That's more of a gut feeling than any statistical analysis. Manly scored, 30 points last week, I believe? Yeah, 32 points last week. The over's 42.5. They've gone over that four of their last 5. The only game that didn't happen was their 30-6 loss against the Storm. The Dogs, on the other hand, have gone under that 2 of their last 5, 18-14 against the Gold Coast. I think we said the over, but it wasn't the smartest thing. Realistically, potentially should have been an under. Going over that against Canterbury, under that against the Warriors, and then 29-28 against the Tigers, 41-10 against the Storm. I think 42.5 is a pretty good line. I would like to see it come down to like a 39 if you want to take an alternative. But if you put those 3 together, Manly on the 6.5 line, over 42.5, Ockenball to score, you're getting $8 on the same game multi.
Okay. Yeah, you've pretty much stolen everything I was going to say. I was going to go with the over because I think that Manly, I will come over there. I will come over there and it will not be pretty.
I dare you.
Yeah, so I think Manly get a decent amount of points in this one just because they switched off last week. I think they'll be kicking themselves for it. I reckon they've probably had a good old-fashioned flogging at training for it as well. A bit of a coaching spray off the back as well. So I think that they come out firing. Again, Ockenbaugh, same line of thinking, got a point to prove, wants to basically show that he's still of value to the club. And if he's not going to be there, then put himself in the shop window for someone else. I just don't see this Bulldogs side performing well. Again, we see another new halves combination. We've seen... it wouldn't honestly surprise me to see Lewis go to the 6 and Wakeham go into the 7 before kickoff. Just because those two have played together this season, whereas Averillo and Lewis haven't. And I think it's a bit of a gamble, especially when you're trying to avoid the spoon to trial out a new halves pairing of 2 pretty young players as well. I'm relatively critical of Lockie Lewis. I just don't think that he's up to NRL standard. I think that he is a decent half, maybe a good half in the Super League, but not at first grade in the NRL. So I think if he could really step up and put a stamp on this game like he did a few weeks ago, then I think that maybe the Bulldogs would be in with a chance of keeping this one close. But I honestly think that the Seagulls come in, blow this one out, take the over, take the Seagulls on the line, and take on Ockenbaugh on an anytime try scorer as well. So pretty much just everything you said.
It is the exact same thing I've said.
Because it's the obvious bet this week. If I was to say there's one 3 multi, like, one game that we multied up that I felt was like the dead set closest to come off, that one has it written all over it.
Let's hope it gets up then, because we are screwed otherwise.
Yeah, imagine we're back here in a week's time and it's like, well, the Bulldogs showed up, destroyed the Seagulls, Ockenbaugh bombed 3 tries, and the total fell 1 point short. But there you go. That's rugby league for you people.
Next game.
It is the Penrith Panthers versus the Parramatta Eels, and it is going to be an interesting one. Penrith making some forward changes. There is one surprise for me. So Fisher Harris comes back in to his preferred prop role. Yo comes back in the 13 shirt after coming back from injury. Coruscant this week, although he did play last week, is officially named in the 9. No Kurt Capewell, which I find very interesting. They've gone back to Lenny Leota and Tetavano as your forward interchanges with May in the 14. So that's their squad. The Eels only one change, and that is Nia Curry out, Davey in. So introducing a little bit of an offload game. Can't say that I'm mad at it. I think that this is the first game this week where we have a slight disagreement, because I think Parramatta Eels are the only team this season to have beaten Penrith. So that means that they are the only team inside the 8 to have beaten Penrith so far. So they basically, if Penrith win here, you've got to say that they are the outright favourites, surely.
Yeah, you have to. I am very much at a crossroads here, because I want to go with my heart. My head is telling me something.
Do it.
The thing that we do need to note is Reid Marnie is the definition of a game day decision. Dead injuries, AC joint. It is possible, that he plays this week. However, me personally, I would not take that risk. Ray Stone, no, he is not a hooker by trade, but I think could do the job. Note that we also have Will Smith in the 20. A couple of names I don't really recognise, Hayes Dunster and Samuel Hughes. I honestly don't know too much about them. I don't know where they play. So I'm curious to see if that's more a little bit of an injury hit, that we're kind of starting to drop back into the depths of our 30.
I think Dunster played at the 9s, didn't he? He's more of a utility. He could step up. He could be the 9. If that happens. If
Reid goes out, it'll be Stone in and potentially Dunster or Will Smith. That would be my guess. I don't want to say this. I really don't. I'm going Penrith.
Damn it! I want to get 4-4, and I honestly backed. I came into this. I was like, if there's one game that he's definitely going to back against, he's going to go for his own team. He's going to come back to bite him in the backside.
I really hope it comes back to bite me in the ass. I hope I look like an absolute idiot next week when we record this, and that Parramatta have got the sweep. I just can't, in good conscience, after how we played last week, knowing that realistically we won because Jazz was in the bin and we scored 12 points in that 10 minutes, I cannot, in my good conscience, suggest putting money on Parramatta. I probably will not put money on this game because I will already be emotionally invested into this one. But you look at it. You look at the analysis. I put Luai over Field every day of the week. Field does not have a passing game towards Ferguson's wing. He had a couple of plays where he ran it down that way and gave it to Wanga Blake, but he doesn't have that cutout on that right side. He has to go left and has to play towards Sivo. Penrith are going to know that. They'll probably put Mansell on that side and just try and nullify Sivo as much as you possibly can. I do like to say I am the king of the Fergos. We finally got Ferguson to score, finally got that tip right. As you mentioned, if Marnie's gone, that's a huge loss for Parramatta. He's got such a strong passing game, really good in defence. It's hard not to think that if he's out, the Panthers come in towards something like $1.30. They're currently at $1.37, Parramatta at $3.10. I think realistically that should be a little further out. I think it should be $1.30, $3.50. But that's just me. It's tough, man. I hate saying it. I really hate saying it, but I'll let you go. I'll let you go with your betting tips first. But I'm going Penrith.
Okay. So it's worth noting as well, the last two games between these sides both have a scoreline of 16-10. So maybe $1, put it on, see what happens. But that's not an official tip. That's just a coincidence. So, the Panthers, for me, are absolute obvious choice. They have done what Parramatta haven't this year, and that is remained consistent. Yes, they've not had some of the levels of injuries, but then again, a good team adapts without its best players, and that's exactly what the Penrith Panthers have done, whether they've been without Coruscant or Cleary or, Toa or, any number of their stars. So Penrith are the obvious choice. I'm going to say take the under. I think that this one's going to be a very tight game. I don't see a lot of points being in it. I'm going to say take Panthers on a 1-12 as well. I think those are my only two tips for this one. With it being, if it's the low scoring game that I anticipate, regardless of whether Marnie's in, I think it still will be tight. But it's going to be hard to pick a try scorer. Your obvious choices there are Naden or Crichton, but I think there's going to be a lot of up the middle work. I think the forwards are basically going to be used to lay platforms and keep the other team out. So, yeah, Panthers 1-12 and take the under.
The under 36.5. So Sportsbet very much on the same line of thinking as you are. Multi that for $4.50. Panthers 1-12 or 2.8. Yeah, look, this is going to go one of two ways, I think. It's going to be either team under 6. You can take the try bet, or the Panthers are going to blow Parramatta out. Their attackers look like crap. I question our defense on the goal line. I think, and you look at that kind of 3 or 4 minute period where Harris DeVita scored back-to-back tries. They're not tries that should be happening. One of them, okay, yeah, fair enough. So freakish last tackle play, third phase play. Sometimes those are going to get through. All right, cool. But that one where Rogers just carved them up from 85 meters away, that shouldn't be happening. Now, granted, Dylan Edwards is not Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, but they have Jerome Luai. And Luai has this mean stepping game that I am very worried about. So with that being said, I am going Penrith. I'm going Jerome Luai, anytime try scorer at $5. And I think I'm going to just stick with that. I'm not 100% confident on anything else. I think Viliama Kickout is a strong shout, but I'm not going to tip it. If I had to choose anyone from Parramatta, I mean, it's hard not to go over Micah Sivo, especially at 210. It's not often that you can get Sivo playing in Sydney at odds over doubling your money. But I think Luai into Penrith, it just makes sense. I think Luai's going to hurt us here. Cleary will benefit off the back of some freakish Luai play. Luai at $5. It's worth a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've probably been on that one for long enough then, and we will get on to the next one. It is the St. George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders obviously falling short last week against the Sydney Roosters, and the Dragons falling short against the Cowboys with that late Val Holmes drop goal sinking them. It's this has got Raiders written all over it for me. I mean, the Dragons make a few changes. Worth noting, Cody Ramsey's going to come in, get his debut after he lit up the NRL 9. So good luck, all the best for that one. Changes to the forward pack for the Dragons. Ellis comes into the 8 shirt. Laurie drops to the bench. Vaughan back in his 10 shirt. And then you've got Kerr and Ford with Britain on the bench as well as the aforementioned Laurie. As for the Raiders, slight change up. I mean, it's going to be no different from the side that played last week. Starling officially in the 9 shirt this week. Valemir officially in the 2. Rapana in the 4 due to Curtis Scott being out injured. Havili dropped to the 14. It's going to be no different from the side that played against the Roosters, essentially, for the Raiders. And that side had a red-hot crack.
Yeah, they really did. But it's hard when you're coming up against the Premiers who getting back a lot of their first grade starters. So there's not much you can do about it. Obviously, the Raiders struggling still a little bit with injury, not as bad as what it was a month or so ago. But no Josh Hodgson, it's still a big loss, even with Tom Starling just blowing everyone's socks off with how well he's played. Worth noting that you have Soliola in the 21, potentially could come back at the expense of Harawira and Naira. That would be my guess, but we'll see how that one goes. I think it's a bit tougher than an out-and-out Raiders. I am going Canberra, but the Dragons do have a track record of giving a cheeky performance against Canberra. 22-16 earlier in the season. A lot of these games have been tight. Four of the previous 5 have been 1-12. In fact, if you want to be even a bit cheekier, 1-7. The Raiders have won 3 of the past 5. So, like I said, I don't think it's as open and closed as we think. I can't talk right now. My apologies. But I am going with the Raiders. Again, I'll let you go first on tips because I've taken plenty of your tips already this week.
Yes.
Yeah, I do see Raiders getting up here.
Yeah, so I think the Raiders get up. I think it's 1-12, as you mentioned. I'm going to take the over as well. I think it's going to be a tight game. The Dragons have these weird patches of sort of 20 minutes of excellence and then a complete shutdown in defence. So, I think that's going to happen. I'm going to go with a bit of an outsider today. I am going to say Valemir anytime try scorer. I know that he's playing opposite Ramsey as the numbers line up. I think Valamir's got a little bit more experience. I think he's a little stronger than Ramsey as well. From what I remember of Ramsey at the 9s, he's very fast, almost like a Tabuai Fido build, quite slim, quite streamlined, very quick when he gets going on the outside, but could be subject to being run over the top of by someone who's a bit bigger, i.e. Semi Valemir. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go the 1-12. I'm going to go the over, just because, as I mentioned, the Dragons have this tendency to completely shut down in defence and then go hell for leather chasing the game, get back into it, and then shut down again. And it's just rinse, repeat there. So, yeah, that's where my thought process lies on that one.
It's not bad odds. Canberra 1-12 is $3. Over is 43.5. Don't know about that one, but okay, you do you. Valemir at $1.91. Put them all together on a multi, $11.50. Not bad.
That's not bad. I fully expected based on the track record. Being told it's like $2.10.
No comment. This may surprise you, but I'm not thinking of going Lomax anytime try scorer this week. The Raiders centers are not. I know. I'm going to talk about it, and then we'll see. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Please note, Zach Lomax is currently watching this, curled up in a ball, crying. Why don't you believe in me this week, Luke?
Brayden, if you're watching this, mate, show Zach. Okay, I lie. I'm taking Lomax anytime try scorer. I'm sorry, but okay, you look at it. Jared Croker is a defensive turnstile. He is not the greatest defensive centre to ever grace a rugby league pitch. Jordan Rapana, not bad, but he's not a centre. I fully believe he's a winger. With those two in the centres, I know that they've got the likes of Bateman, White, and Williams, and Whitehead, who are all very capable defenders in their own right. But if Lomax gets one-on-one with either of those two, he's gonna get around them. I honestly think he's going to get around them. So I'm going Lomax on the anytime try scorer. Going the Raiders. I'm not sure if I like your 43.5. So I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to go with those two, keeping it a little basic this week. I'm very sorry. 263 for Lomax for an anytime try scorer. 7.5. You know what? I'll go No, I'm not going the Raiders 7.5. That's not good value. Lomax anytime try scorer. Raiders on the win. That in itself is 433. Lomax 263. If you want to hit the single by itself.
Okay. No, I think that'll do it there then. And with that, then we will get on to the next one. Our next game is the Gold Coast Titans taking on the Brisbane Broncos. Gold Coast going through plenty of changes. So Brian Kelly is out with an injury, which means that Paul Fermor slotted into the centre. Keegan Hipgrave comes in. He's replacing Jamin Joloff as he's gone for the season now. He's basically been ruled out with a high grade, I think it was ankle sprain. But Fotuaker comes from the bench. Jairo is basically put to the bench due to they're basically monitoring his shoulder at the minute. They don't want to overdo him. So it's a smart move. Jairo probably won't play big minutes this week, especially so close to the end of the season with pretty much nothing to play for now. So I think the Titans are just basically watching this one out. No Philip Semi as well. He's not in the 17, so another big loss for them there. Whitbread comes into the bench. So as for the Broncos, for the first time in God knows how long, their 1-7 is unchanged, which is quite incredible. I like the Broncos just for that. Although they did do one thing that very much annoyed me. Last week, Haas was in the 8 and Kennedy was in the 10. They decided to swap that just so that I'd have to update the graphics. So thank you very much for that, Brisbane. Their bench is very strange for me. So, but notable inclusion, Alex Glenn back in the second row. Bert, Tio drops to the bench. Xavier Coates on the bench with Joe Offengawe. Strange one. You've essentially got a centre winger coming in. Are they maybe holding out for an injury? Is Oates, Staggs, Farnworth or Kennar running wounded? Not 100%, but Coates is there in the 16 shirt.
Yeah, not overly sure about Xavier Coates there in the 16. I don't know if Kennar or Oates is injured. That would be the assumption. But I don't see him staying there. That being said, you've got Arthurs, Croft, Bullimore, and Peterson Rabati in the reserves. So it's not as if outside of Bullimore, I haven't really seen Peterson Rabati play. It's not like there's anyone there who I think could potentially take that spot. Potentially, they're looking to put Oates into the second row at some point, Coates onto the wing. That is a very feasible option, I think. I really like the fact that they've stuck with O'Sullivan. I think he's a fantastic player. I think that's their halves pairing to go on. Dearden is just a little piece of dynamite. He's fantastic. I rate him highly. O'Sullivan came in with some great raps, just couldn't get the spot. Bided his time. He's now in there. I really hope that they stick with that halves combination. I really, really do. I don't quite know where to go on this one. I am going to go straight off the bat and say Katoni Staggs anytime try scorer. Him up against Bo Firma. Staggs, he's just too quick. He's too quick. He'll get around Firma. Firma very well at some point very well could break the line. He has a knack at doing that one way or another. But Staggs is going to score. I'm sticking with it. He's become the new Zach Lomax. I think I've picked him every week the last 3, and he's scored. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Even at $1.91, I think he gets over the try line. I'm going to let you go for the rest. I need to have a serious look at the betting markets for this one, but Staggs anytime. I'm going to be as bold as to say that that's my best bet of the week. My best single is Staggs to score.
Okay. What is the under-over sitting at?
Let's have a sneaky look. Far out. Okay. 45.5.
Under, all day long. I'm going to take the under. I don't want to do it. Why I can see me catching the words as they leave my mouth. Broncos will win this one. It's a bold shout. Basically, I'm working under the premise of when a team loses so often, they have to win at some point. What better game to win than basically a Queensland get square? All the Broncos have heard this year is you guys are the worst team in Queensland. Gold Coast are now the best team in Queensland. So knock off Gold Coast, shut their fans up for a little bit, take some bragging rights. I think the fact that they're stuck with the same 1-7, yes, it's not a fantastic 1-7, but it's a 1-7 all the same that have some sort of familiarity. Farnworth has been going good. Dearden started to step up and really make the game his own and control and dictate. It just seems to me, I think that the Broncos will get up in this one. So I'm going to go Broncos 1-12. Broncos take the under, and yeah, I think that'll do it there. I don't want to give them any time. I've already gone risky enough by backing the Broncos.
I was on that line of thinking. I'm going to make it. I'm going to preface it by saying this. I do think the Broncos win, but for the sake of making our little thing exciting, I'm going the Titans.
4-4's happening this week. Do you know what? I've just realised. I've literally just said 4-4's happening this week, and I've said that with great confidence while backing the Broncos. I honestly, 2020 has broken me. I can't deal with 2020 anymore. Roll on New Year. Let's get Christmas out of the way.
Yeah, that's brave, my friend. Saying that it's immoral whilst tipping the Broncos. I am going Staggs still on anytime try scorer. The line is 2.5. I'm eating that up with the Titans. I know I just said that the Broncos win, but if the Titans win, they're going to win by more than 2 points. So Titans minus 2.5, Staggs anytime try scorer. I don't know if I'm confident about anyone in particular. I do want to point out, though, that the bench for the Titans, as you mentioned, Arrow potentially a little minute restricted this week. Aaron Clark, Jai Whitbread, Sam Lasoni, the others. It would not surprise me one bit to see Payne Haas get off his duck egg. I'm going to go Payne Haas, anytime try scorer, just completely out of left field. Wow, I say that as I also suggest the Titans 2.5. So I'm going to go Anthony Don as well. Staggs, Haas, Anthony Don. That is absolutely insane. Please play that as a single. I will tell you the multi-value. It's going to be huge. It's going to be $64. Please play those as singles. If that somehow gets up, I do take tips. But yeah, Titans on 2.5, Staggs, Haas, Don. Don't ask me why. My gut's churning. It could be the fact that I'm drinking Pepsi Max right now, but we're going with it.
Okay, then. I think then we'll get on to a slightly easier pick then. It is the Sydney Roosters taking on the Newcastle Knights, and the Roosters, there's not many changes, if any, realistically. I mean, worth noting though, Mitch Orbison, not in the 17, but in the 21. We did discuss this yesterday when we recorded last week in Rugby League, that we hope that Mitch Orbison gets to break that record and that he doesn't lose out just due to the fact that Sonny Bill Williams is there. It's looking more and more realistic that might be what's happening, which is just not fantastic, to be honest. You know, I want to see him basically be rewarded for his long-term service to the club, and the fact that Sonny Bill's there. Do I see Orbison going around for one more year? Potentially, but I think he should be rewarded sooner rather than later. Worth noting, though, that the Roosters only changed this week is another one of their long-term servants, Jake Friend, comes back into the 9 shirt. Lusick completely dropped from the side as the Roosters opt to go with Butcher, Collins, Crichton and Sonny Bill Williams on their bench. As for the Knights, quite a few changes. So most notable, of course, is the absence of Kalen Ponga, who is currently trying to get rid of a swelled nose from the courtesy of Chad Townsend's shoulder. Edric Lee comes back, which does really excite me because I look forward to seeing that Tupou Lee battle, because I think that regardless of where those two are in the numbers, I think that the Knights, if they're smart, you nullify Tupou in the air just by sticking Edric Lee next to him. And that'll just be a great battle to watch. So looking forward to that one. Daniel Saifiti back into the side. He's back from injury. He'll start from the bench, though. And I think that's it for the Knights on their changes. Mason Lino, great to see that he's still getting the 6th shirt. Killed it last week. Thought he had a really good game. His short kicking game really, really complements Pearce. Lino Pearce is similar to Luai Cleary at Penrith. I mean, it's a slightly more knockoff version, maybe not as good, but you know, you've got Luai who does the short kicking at Penrith, Lino does the short kicking at the Knights for long ball and picking out your wingers. Pearce is you go to, as is Cleary at Panthers. That's where I draw that similarity. Nothing to do with the quality, just the kicking game. So I think those two complement each other really well. In regards to that, and I think that the Knights probably will get points off the back of Lino's short kicking game, if not just repeat sets, but it's about what you do with them. And the Roosters, they've got them probably one of the most robust defenses in the league. It's just their defense is so hard to break down.
Well, you've basically just taken all of my analysis. Do I just go into the tips now? What do you want me to do here?
You do you.
I was gonna based you there for comparing Lino to Luai, but okay, I'll give you that. Definitely doesn't have the running game of Jerome Luai, but yes, a very complimentary kicking game. I can see where you've pulled that one from. SASA in at lock is a good shout. It's a strong forward pack. It is a very strong forward pack for the Knights. Obviously, they lose out with Ponga out the back, so Tex Hoy comes in. It's not a bad replacement, mind you. Mitch Barnett rested, Heinel Hunt rested. Sione Mataudia, named in the 21, could come back. It's crazy to think the dude's only like 25. Feels like he's been around for a decade.
I remember. I still remember when he'd like scored a hat trick and everyone was touting him as like the next big thing for rugby league. I think he was a winger at that point as well, not even a forward.
Yeah, he's definitely going the Luke Lewis route of being pretty injury prone for a hot minute coming into the second row. Unfortunately, with this case, it's more head knocks than anything else. So I really hope that he stays out of the injury ward for a while here. Definitely an easy game to pick. You can't not go the Roosters here. I feel like that. I can just type that one in for you too.
Yep.
As much as I think the Knights are strong, considering the changes that they have, you just can't not go the Roosters. I'm going to go Roosters 13 plus here. The loss of Ponga is it's too big. It's too big. Tex Hoy is a fantastic player in his own right, but he's not Kalen Ponga. I don't know where else you want to go here. There's not going to be a lot of value in the anytime try scorer market. I'm not really comfortable suggesting anyone, which is a little surprising. But if you really wanted to have someone who's $2 or above, Joey Manu could be a shout at $2.37. You could also go someone like Tupanua. I'm not putting these in my tips, Matt. You can still have Manu anytime. I'm just pointing names out. I'm just pointing names out here. Manu and Tupanua for the Roosters, $2.37 and $3.20. I think pretty good value, all things considered. I don't really know where else to go on this one. You could go with the line if you really want to. The over's 45.5. I am going to be slightly sneaky and go the over on that one. It just, to me, makes a little bit more sense. You got the Roosters 13 plus, you go the over. I'm not going to give you anything else. I'm going to kind of bitch it on this one. That itself only all right, screw it. I'll throw Tupanua. I'll let you have Joey Manu in, but I'll throw Tupanua as well, just to try and get a little bit of value here on a same game multi. Tupanua 13 plus over 45.5 is 575. I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm trying to find some value in this one, not the game to do it.
Yeah. So, I was going to go with Manu just simply because of that kicking battle that I mentioned earlier. Tupou versus Lee. I honestly don't think that they're going to try Edric Lee out. I think that you just go to the other side and then your obvious target is Joey Manu, who's got the ability to collect the ball above his head. See him do it week in, week out. He is just a massive aerial threat. So I think that that's what happens there. But saying that means that you've got to get to your fifth tackle. Do I think that the Roosters route the Knights here? I do. I'm going to go with the 13 plus as well. So Joey Manu, Roosters 13 plus. I am going to go the under though. And the reason that I'm going to say the under is I think that the Roosters do pitch up around the 30-point mark, but I think that the Knights probably, they'll be lucky to break 10 this week. I think that with that, they're still trying to work things out in their spine with Man at 9, Lino coming in at 6. Now you've got a new fullback as well. I can see that things maybe just won't click in attack. They're going to spend a lot of time on their line doing a lot of just hard work defending. Yes, the Knights forward pack is very formidable, but saying that, the Roosters are no pushover either. Warringah Hargreaves, Takiaho, who I think is probably one of the most underrated props in the competition, doesn't get the raps that he deserves. Cordner, Tupanua, Lou. And then you got, Angus Crichton coming off the bench as well with Lindsay Collins, and then Nat Butcher will slot in at the 13. There's just talent all over this field, so I think that basically the Roosters' backs just completely nullify the strength of the Knights pack for me in regards to the Knights potentially having a stronger pack than the Roosters. So yeah, that's where I go on that one.
1.4, Joey Manu 237, the under 1.9, the multi if you want it 825.
There you go, a little bit of value. Okay, and with that then we will get on to the next one. The Melbourne Storm take on the North Queensland Cowboys. Cowboys did manage to grab a win in dramatic fashion last week. Not their most convincing performance, but they got the job done. Few changes for the Storm. No Pappenhausen this week. Hines goes in at fullback from the bench. Vunivalu back on his wing, which means that Lumi Loom is slotted in at the 17 shirt instead of being out on that wing. Asafa Solomona comes in as well for your starting prop. Kenny Bromwich back into the 12 shirt. The bench, Riley Jacks, Shonik the Hedgehog, Vete, and Lumi. And that is the Storm's side there. I love him. I love him just for his name. It's great to say. As for the Cowboys, I've completely derailed this preview now, and I instantaneously regret it. It is the same 17 from last week. Gavin Cooper listed to start. Tom Gilbert on the bench. That's the only change for them. They don't have anyone with a fun name to say, so I'm not going to harp on their team as too much. The Storm, you've got to be said, are the easiest of picks this week for this one.
Yeah, on the head-to-head, Sonic the Hedgehog. Please do something. Meme it up. I don't know how you're going to do it, but please do it.
I'm gonna spend so much time on this just for that 3-second clip.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah, Storm definitely the gimme tip of the week. Even without Pappenhausen, Nico Hines more than capable in the fullback role there. Interesting. I was talking on Twitter with Anton Poser about this one a little bit. Interesting that they've named Jackson Lumi both on the bench. Anton reckons that'll change and potentially, someone like Eisenhuth or Kamikamitha will come in. Tui hasn't played in 6 months now. Hasn't played, I think, since round 2. Trying to get his back right. Eisenhuth, could very well easily take Lumi's spot. Potentially, I think Lumi named there just to see how Vunivalu's pulling up. But we'll see how that one goes. The other option is he'll come in, play in the centres. Brenko Lee drops out with Sandor Earl there in the 19 as well. As the Cowboys, you say what you want, but you can't see it happening, can you? You really can't. The obvious bet here is Storm 13+, but I don't know how comfortable I am putting anything on it. 13+ is $1.50, so I'm going to suggest Storm 13+, and we'll go with Josh Addo-Carr 2 or more tries, purely because after everything that's been happening in the media, is saying that the Tigers may have offered him a 4-year deal to come home. He may have a point to prove, but I don't really know where else I want to go on that one. I think I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah. For me, again, these are just outside chances. So last week I went Lee and Olam scored. The week before I went for Olam. I think Lee scored. So I'm not going to touch the centres because I've cursed myself enough in that spot. I'm going to go with Nico Hines for the anytime try scorer. I think that he's going to get an out-the-back ball, and rather than give it, he's just going to go himself. I think the Cowboys have a tendency to switch off, and Hines will just exploit that. Again, same line of thinking. I'm going to go Melbourne 13+. I think that the Cowboys have had their good game, even though it was a good game, it wasn't convincing. St. George are nowhere near the standard of the Melbourne Storm, and if you're just going to eke out a win against them, prayers and good wishes to you when it comes up to playing against a Storm side that's basically desperately trying to run down the Panthers. If the Storm lose here, then the Panthers are as good as your minor premiers. I get that they can still lose one more game on top and still be there or thereabouts, but I can't see that the Storm are going to want to give up that chase now, especially not against the Cowboys side that's only got, I think that was their first win in 7 games last week. So the Cowboys they're not fantastic. So I go Storm 13+. I go Nico Hines anytime try scorer. As for the over-under, I'm not too sure because I think that the Storm probably score plenty of points and the Cowboys don't. So I'm a little hesitant to touch that one. So those will be my 2 for this game.
46.5 is the total that it's currently set at, so I don't blame you. Hines, Storm 13+, that pays $3 on the dot. It's probably about as good as you're going to get, I reckon. Yeah.
And I think then we will move on to our final game of the round. It is the Cronulla Sharks versus the New Zealand Warriors. The Sharks gone through a few changes. The obvious absentee, Chad Townsend, gone. He's out for 3 weeks now. Sean Johnson, he's back. I don't know whether he's been rushed back, essentially, especially for this game, or whether it's just a case of he's fit and ready to go because he was basically sidelined for some time with a calf injury, I think it was. So I'm sketchy on the Sharks for this one. Rudolph is named in the 13. I think he's still. Did he get his judiciary overturned? I don't know.
No news has come out yet. Keep going. I'll have a quick look for you.
Yeah, I think he's still got to go. Still got to go up against the disciplinary yet. Wade Graham is definitely out though. He's gone. So Scott Sorensen in. Sione Katoa, big inclusion. He's back, named in the side. He's recovered from a chest injury, so he's back into the side for the Sharks. So that is a massive inclusion for them. As for the Warriors, they do welcome back their two Parramatta loanees after missing out last week due to the terms and conditions of the loan contract. So Jennings back on the wing and Alvaro back onto the bench. Sorry, I am very tempted to go with the Warriors here. Very, very tempted, because we've seen it in 2020 when teams are on the receiving end of a bad call. The week afterwards, they come out and they air their frustrations on the opposing team. And I don't think that the Warriors would be any different, to be honest. That, and they know Sean Johnson's play style, but came up through their ranks. They know that he's going to want to go at the line, entice some forwards in a little bit, and then pop it out the back. But I think that Tracy is very complimentary of Johnson's play style. So Tracy step up in a big way last week. Good running game, strong through the line. I'd be tempted to maybe look at him for an anytime try scorer. Go on, I'm going to do it to myself. I'm going to put down Tracy anytime try scorer. But with that though, I am going to say Warriors 1-12. Oh no, he thought about it, and now I get in first because I've given my tips out first. Yeah, Warriors 1-12. Tracy anytime try scorer. I think that's where I go with this one. I don't see much else. I think everything else is probably just a little bit too much of a gamble.
I am disgusted at your behaviour right now. All right. I am going the Warriors too. I had that written down right as we started this. Even with Sean Johnson coming back, Rudolph took the early guilty, so he just has carryover points. No judicial required. I'm going very much along your kind of thinking there, in that the Warriors are going to come out here. Because let's be real, if the Warriors beat Parramatta, there are a huge chance here with this game of jumping in and taking that final spot. But they didn't. But, if they had beat the Sharks this week and won last week, it would only have been points differential with 2 rounds to go. That is huge for this Warriors side. Mathematically, it's still possible. I believe they're the only team, or them and the Tigers are the only teams that mathematically still have a shout. And I think that they know that. Their season is on the line with this one. It's not that last week wasn't do or die, but it is do or die from here on out. So I'm going to go the Warriors. They are the distinct underdogs at 2.45 on Sportsbet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that closes. I'm going Roger, anytime try scorer. Really unlucky not to get one last week. Just getting dragged down, I believe, by Wonga Blake, about 5 meters out. Ended up being Harris DeVita's second try, so I'm going to take a stab at that as well. He's just looked so much. I don't know why, because the rumours came out not that long ago that he's thinking of going to Union. And obviously, Union over here is on death's door, but the All Blacks over there are absolutely insane. Wouldn't surprise me if he went to Union and just creamed it. But he's just looked fantastic this last month. This is the Roger from a couple of years ago, pre-ACL. So I'm going for him on the anytime try scorer. I am also going to say Dugan. They're coming up against, I believe Dugan's side is up against Perham and Pompey. Defensively, that's not a combination that I trust a hell of a lot. You could also make a very strong case for Sione Katoa and Jesse Ramian, or really any of the outside backs for the Sharks. But I'm going the value play here with Dugan at 263. Dugan, RTS, and the Warriors just head-to-head, 14.25 for the multi.
Plenty of value. plenty of value on both sides.
That is what I'm actually going to make my cheeky value multi of the week. If you want to throw yours in as well, mate.
I can't remember what I've tipped anymore. My brain's absolutely fried.
You're absolutely useless. You're absolutely useless, mate.
I am. And people call us amateurish. You people don't know what you're talking about, and neither do we. So,
hey, hang on. People come and watch this content because they think that.
I think value this week.
Do you want to know
Broncos Titans
multi before?
Go on.
Tracy and the Warriors. Well, Warriors anytime. Sorry, hang on. Let me get this right. Warriors 1-12. Let me go find the big win, little win. Warriors 1-12, 375. Tracy at 420. Just those two on itself is 1950.
I think, although there's good value in that, I think it's less likely than Broncos Gold Coast. So I'm going to go Broncos Gold Coast for my value / best bet. Also because I want all that good energy to be going towards that game, because that's going to be the one that gets me back on level terms with you.
I was really hoping you would go on the Sharks. I really was praying you would go on the Sharks.
No. It's not happening. They can't be trusted. I'm not doing it to myself.
Fair enough. But before you wrap this up, we appreciate the feedback that you guys do give us. You know, it's been a pretty good month for us on YouTube. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, 800 subscribers isn't massive, but that's double of what we had about this time last month. So you guys have been absolutely superb. We really appreciate it. Any feedback, be it how we say things, what we deliver. I can't remember who it was, but someone gave me some really good feedback last week. So we really appreciate that. So yeah, keep it coming in. If you want to see some more stuff, if you want more stuff on the channel, if you want more stuff on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, pigeon carriers, you name it, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. So with that then, just time to say thank you for watching us. If you did make it this far, thanks again to the guys over at RCR Nutrition, www.rcr-products.co.uk, for sponsoring us once more. Use code CKM, get 20% off your entire order. Like the video, subscribe, leave us a comment, share it with your friends. I'm sure that they'd be very happy to join in on the great fun that we have here at the CKM on the CKM channel. With that then, just time to say goodbye. We will see you next time. Probably the next video that goes up will be another Last Week in Rugby League. We'll be recording that Monday. So head over, check it out, and we'll see you then. Bye.